So let's talk about some of the reasons people give for not getting the vaccine, because it doesn't seem as if anyone has any one reason they're not doing it. When you hear about the headlines of the FDA issuing new warnings, for example, especially with the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, a new one just this week, a lot of people I've talked to anecdotally in the field will say, oh yeah, you know, it's not close for me to get a vaccine. I heard that it could cause a blood clot. I feel fine. Everyone in my family feels fine. It's sort of a mix of reasons. If the messengers aren't breaking through and the science, the message of science isn't breaking through, what will?
Yeah, it's a great question. So when you look at that, again, that third of the US population that isn't vaccinated, and ask what's holding people back. For some people, it's still access. Now you may say, well, what does that mean, access? Everybody can get a vaccine anywhere they want. True, but for a lot of people, access isn't just, can I go to my CVS or can I go to my health clinic and get it? They've heard, a lot of you may have experienced, I experienced after my second shot, the next 24 hours was pretty miserable for me. Many of you might have had that. People have heard that. And some people think, oh, I can't take a day off of work. Who's gonna watch my kids during that time? So those are also access barriers. In communities of color, what you have is long-standing challenges of trust with the health system. I think for good reasons. The health system has often treated people very badly. And now, people are showing up and saying, I know we really haven't been there for you when you needed it, but how about a vaccine? And you're not going to be surprised if not everybody jumps for joy and says, yes, please. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done on trust. But a bigger portion of this is the misinformation that has been very well orchestrated. And when you look at what causes people to pause and say, I don't know if I want it, the misinformation is not random. It's very well designed, it's well developed, it's targeted towards specific groups. We were talking just before we walked over that a lot of it targets young women, for instance, around issues of fertility. It's total nonsense. There's no impact on fertility. But if you create the right kind of messages, you create just enough doubt that people think, I think I'm gonna pass. And that has worked really well. So there isn't going to be a single solution that's going to do this. But I think it's going to be a combination of mandates. Like, I think that's going to end up playing a role. Trusted voices in communities, right? It's one thing for me as a public health person to say people should get vaccinated. But somebody who lives in that community, is trusted by a community, standing up and saying people need to get vaccinated, I think that will help a lot. And then I really do think we have to have better strategies for countering misinformation. We, in the public health community at least, I would say have been blindsided by the power of the misinformation, how well it's been organized, how effective it has been. And I had a mental model coming into this pandemic, and please don't laugh at me, but I really did. I used to believe that if you just get the science right and the evidence right, and you communicate it to people, it's good enough. Turns out, nowhere close. And so we in public health have to go back and think about what else do we need to be doing and how do we communicate far more effectively in the world where these platforms like Facebook are really the major source of misinformation out there.